Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Tool and Die Design. That is one of your courses in seventh semester of BSc Industrial Engineering and Management. I have divided this course into 6 modules. The first module has been numbered as module 0 because here we will be focusing on some basic concepts on which this course will build. First of all, I would like to introduce to you this course. Here I will explain what this course is about, what this course focuses on, and what you can expect from this course. As you have already gone through 2 courses on manufacturing processes, so you already have a fair idea of a manufacturing system. Now, there are different components of a manufacturing system. And on this slide, I have tried to keep it really simple to convey to you the basic concept or basic idea of this course. So here I have mentioned just few components of a manufacturing system. So generally there is a machine or machinery that uses some source of power to convert the starting material into a finished or semi-finished form. Then, of course, there is some starting material or raw material that is sometimes called. There is some material handling equipment and there is some tooling. So, a machine or machinery that uses some source of power to convert raw material or starting material into finished or semi-finished form. There is some material handling equipment and there is some production tooling, there is some inspection tooling, there is skilled labor, and there are many other components of the manufacturing system. What I want to emphasize over here is that 2 components of this manufacturing system, in any manufacturing system, are the focus of this course. And they are production tooling and inspection tooling. So you should always keep this in mind that this course will, for the most part, focus on the design of these 2 types of tooling. And straight away, I would like to define what tooling is. So tooling are special purpose tools used with general purpose machines. So these are special purpose tools used with general purpose machines. They are generally used in batch or job shop production. For example, injection mold is an example of a production tooling. Jigs and dies are also examples of production tooling. One of the important aspects of these tooling is that they are custom designed. They are designed as per requirement. They are not standardized uh, equipment that can be purchased from the catalog. So you have to design them as per requirement, and then you have to manufacture or got them manufactured as per requirement. So these are just few of the many parts of a manufacturing system. Now I would like to emphasize on few words or terminologies here, like the word tool, machine tool, and tooling. And specifically, I will focus on these last 2 to, to give you a broader idea of this course. So first of all, we would take the example of machining. So you're already aware of different machine tools that are used in production, in the machine shops, etc. So again, the word tool is a general word. It is a piece of device, equipment, or machine that helps to make the job easier in manufacturing. So you are aware of many tools that you used in the workshop. The word machine tool is more relevant with respect to this course. So a machine tool is a non-portable power operated device or system of devices in which energy is expended to produce jobs of desired shape, size and surface finish by removing excess material from preformed blanks in the form of chips with the help of cutting tools moved past the work surface. I won't be going into explaining this definition because we have already studied a complete course on machine tools and machining. But important point to keep in mind here is that these machine tools are general purpose, like the lathe, the milling machine, the drill press, the shaper, the surface grinder, etc. The tooling, as I just defined, is special purpose tool that is used with general purpose machines. Now, with respect to machining, the example of toolings include jigs and fixtures. And these are examples of production tooling or limit gauges. They are not specific to machine shops. They can be used in any production setup, but they are also used in machining system. They are used to inspect the part. So limit gauges are just an example of inspection tooling that can be used in machining operations to inspect the part that has been made using machining. So let's discuss a specific example in the case of machining. We have to make this part. So it is a circular disc that has should have 12 holes at the periphery near the edge of this blank. So there are these 12 small holes, so 1, 2, 3, up to 12. And then there is a central, a larger hole. So of course, we won't be getting such prototype or physical part in the beginning, but we will need engineering drawing actually to know what we have to make. So let's suppose that we have this starting blank, I call it, and the central hole has already been made. So we have to drill those small 12 holes. So the machine tool that we need in this case is, of course, some type of a drilling machine. So in this case, for example, we might be using a radial drilling machine because it has a radial arm on which we have a spindle where the drill bit is mounted. So that is the machine tool. This is the part to be made, and this is the semi-finished blank that we have already made. And on this semi-finished blank, we have to drill these 12 holes. And of course, we need a tool here, that is a cutting tool here to drill these 12 holes. And that will, of course, will be a drill bit. And subsequently, we may need a reamer or finishing tool to finish this hole, these 12 holes. So the first question we would like to ask is how to drill the 12 holes repeatedly, that is quickly as well as accurately. And the answer is we need a drilling jig. We need a drilling jig to make this process faster as well as accurate. And question number 2 is how to make sure that the 12 holes are of required dia and they are drilled at desired position. And for this purpose, we will need one or maybe more than one inspection gauges. Now, depending upon our requirements, we can have one or more than one inspection tooling, generally some sort of gauges. I'm not going into technical details of this part and what a drilling jig is and how it will be made, but just to give you an idea that what is meant by tooling and what could be situations or examples actually where we will need such tooling. So let's take another example. Here we will be taking another manufacturing process, that is stamping, or that is also called sheet metal working. So here the machine tool is a press. Just remember that the word machine tool is generally used for the machines that are used in the machine shop, like lathe, drilling, milling, etc. But sometimes we use this term for other general purpose machines as well. So this is just a matter of terminology. So in the case of sheet metal working or stamping, the general purpose machine is a press. So it has different parts. I'm not going into details of that. And we also need tooling. And again, the same definition of tooling, special purpose tools with general purpose machines. And here the general purpose machine is some type of press. Now, specifically, the production tooling in sheet metal or stamping operation comprises two parts, two components, a punch and a die. So that is the example of production tooling in the case of stamping operations. And of course, like any manufactured part, we also need to inspect the part that has been manufactured using stamping. And here again, we also need some inspection tooling. So it could be a limit gauge or it could be an inspection gauge as well. That is more common in stamping because the stamp part are more complex. So inspection gauge. In industrial terminology, sometimes these are also called inspection fixtures or checking fixtures. So if we take a specific example of sheet metal part, so this is the finished part. Of course, we won't have it generally, but we will have an engineering drawing to know what we have to make. And the form of the starting material will be some sheet metal strip. And that is the product of a rolling process. And this is the first blank that we have made from this metal strip. So that is the first blank, and we will perform some operations on this blank to make this final part. And this is the general purpose machine or machine tool in the case of stamping operations, and that is stamping press. The one shown in the figure is a mechanical press, but it could be hydraulic press as well. So from this starting material, from this metal strip, we have to make this final part using some press like this. So first question I would like to ask you is how many operations do you think are required to make the final part starting with a sheet metal strip? Now, depending upon the number of operations required, we need production tooling, a punch and a die for each operation. That is very important in this case. We need a punch and a die for each operation. And guess how many operations are being actually used to make this part? So there are 5 operations currently being used to make this final part, this one from a strip, sheet metal strip. So we need 5 pairs of a punch and a die to make this simple part. So that is the main idea that I want to convey to you. So we need 5 custom designed pairs of a punch and a die to make this part from a metal. Second question is the same as we asked in the case of machining, that we need some inspection tooling to inspect whether this part has been accurately made. And to be more specific, whether these holes are of required dia or not, these 4 holes in total, are they at the required distance from each other, for example, or the depth of this drawn section, this one is of required depth or not. So of course, depending upon the criticality of different features, we may be inspecting those, but we do need some inspection tooling to inspect those features. Let's take another example. And in this case, we will be talking about injection molding, yet another manufacturing process. So machine tool here is an injection molding machine, a general purpose machine. It has 2 units, injection unit and clamping unit. You have already gone through the details of an injection molding machine in a previous course. And tooling here is an injection mold. So that is also an example of a production tooling. So for every unique part, we need a special mold. If we take a specific example, let's suppose we have to make a plastic bucket. So that is the part to be made. We will need an engineering drawing, of course, to know the details. The starting material in this case will be in the form of plastic pellets. Just recall that in the case of machining, it was a circular disc. In the case of sheet metal, it was, in the case of that part, it was a sheet metal strip in the previous slide. And here we have the raw material in the form of plastic pellets. The first question is which operation is required to make this bucket? Of course, it is injection molding. So we need a machine like this to make this part. And that is injection molding machine. The second important point here is that on this machine, we have to attach an injection mold to make this bucket. And this injection mold will be specially designed for this shape. So again, the production tooling is custom designed. Injection mold generally consists of two parts, a core and a cavity. So this is core and this is cavity. This is cavity plate and this is core plate. And of course, there are many other parts of an injection mold. So the core imparts the internal features, the hollow, or you can say internal shape of this bucket, and cavity will impart the external shape to this bucket. We will inshallah discuss the details later. So this is example of a production tooling in the case of injection molding. There are two types of tooling with respect to this course. One is production tooling and the second is inspection tooling, as we have already discussed. Now there are two types of production tooling. Production tooling is used during production and inspection tooling is used after production, after the part has been made. And there are two types of production tooling. The first type is the tooling that directly imparts shapes to the starting material. So the examples are dies, molds, and cutting tools. What do we mean by directly imparting shape? The shape of the final part depends upon the shape of the tooling. So that is meant by directly imparting shape. The second type of production tooling is the tooling that helps in imparting shape, that does not directly impart shape to the starting material, but that helps us in imparting shape. So that makes the job easy, faster, and consistent to perform. So examples are fixtures, jigs, and cutting tools. So you might have noticed cutting tools in both cases. So what do we mean by cutting tools here are actually the form cutting tools. And the cutting tools mentioned here are actually the generating cutting tools. So if you are not clear about this, we can discuss, but from the point of view of this course, this classification of cutting tools is not that important. The inspection tooling also has two categories. First type of inspection tooling is one that checks dimensional conformance of the part after it has been manufactured. And the second type of tooling focuses on geometric conformance of the part after it has been manufactured. So we will start the course with the first type of tooling, that is the production tooling. And in production tooling, we will start with the first type of production tooling that directly imparts shapes. And in this type of production tooling, we will be specifically starting with jigs and fixtures. That will be our first module, and then we will move on to the sheet metal dies. But after this lecture, we will of course discuss some other basic concepts on which this course will be building. Now we will discuss the course plan in detail. I have already provided you in hard form. So we will have some discussion on that and then we will discuss some other basic concepts. Thank you very much.